My friends, life often puts us in situations where staying quiet seems easier than speaking up. We fear judgment, rejection, or conflict. We convince ourselves that silence is safe, that it will keep us out of trouble. But Stoic wisdom teaches us something different. The Stoics believed that courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to act rightly, even when fear is present. There are moments in life when silence is not neutral, it becomes a form of weakness. When you see injustice, when someone is treated unfairly, when truth is being ignored, staying silent is choosing the wrong side. Silence in the face of injustice is not simply the absence of words. It is a choice, a decision that we make either consciously or unconsciously. Many people convince themselves that staying quiet is safer, that ignoring a wrong or remaining neutral will protect them from conflict, judgment, or loss. But in reality, silence in these moments allows injustice to continue. When we see someone being treated unfairly, when truth is being twisted, when someone is harmed or marginalized, saying nothing is not neutrality, it is passivity. The world does not reward silence when courage is needed, it rewards action. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our moral duty is to act according to virtue, to live guided by reason, integrity, and justice. Being silent when something is clearly wrong is a failure to live by those virtues. We must understand that staying silent often comes from fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of being misunderstood, fear of punishment, or fear of being disliked can make people hold their tongue. This fear is natural, but Stoicism tells us that fear itself is not the enemy. Fear is simply a signal that something matters. The real danger lies in allowing fear to control our decisions, to dictate our actions, or to prevent us from doing what is right. By speaking up despite fear, we strengthen our character. Courage is developed through repeated choices to act rightly, even when the heart races and the mind worries. When we choose silence over justice, we deny ourselves the opportunity to practice courage and to build inner strength. Remaining quiet when we witness wrongdoing also has a broader impact. Silence can encourage others to stay silent as well. Injustice often spreads not only because of the actions of the wrongdoer, but because those who could act choose not to. Each person who witnesses a wrong and does nothing becomes, in a way, a participant in the harm. Stoicism emphasizes responsibility, understanding that our actions, or lack of action, have consequences. Our duty is to act in alignment with reason and virtue, and that includes speaking up when silence would allow harm to continue. Even small voices can make a difference. A word of truth, a question challenging unfair behavior, or a gentle objection can disrupt injustice and inspire others to act. Choosing to speak up does not mean we must shout or attack. Stoic wisdom values reason, calm, and clarity. When confronting wrongdoing, our words should be guided by purpose, not anger. The goal is not to escalate conflict unnecessarily but to restore fairness, truth, and integrity. Silence, in contrast, avoids responsibility and allows harm to persist. Over time, repeated silence can erode our moral compass, making us numb to wrongdoing and weakening our sense of justice. Courage, by speaking out, keeps our values alive and strengthens our ability to act rightly in future situations. In life, there will always be moments when remaining quiet feels easier. We might worry about our safety, our reputation, or our comfort. We may tell ourselves that one voice cannot change anything, that someone else will act. But Stoic philosophy reminds us that each individual has the capacity to act according to reason and virtue, and that moral courage is not measured by grand gestures alone. Even small acts of truth, telling, fairness, and integrity matter. When we refuse to stay silent in the face of injustice, we honor our own values, support others who are harmed, and contribute to a world where virtue has a chance to thrive. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to act rightly even when fear is present. Many people misunderstand courage as something that requires boldness or fearlessness. They imagine heroes who charge forward without hesitation, who face danger without trembling. But the truth is that fear is a natural part of being human. Every one of us experiences it in some form, whether it is fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss, or fear of the unknown. Stoic philosophy teaches that courage does not mean eliminating fear. It means recognizing fear and choosing to act according to reason, virtue, and principle despite it. True courage is measured not by the absence of fear, but by our willingness to do what is right in spite of fear. Fear often convinces us to retreat, to stay silent, or to compromise our values. It whispers that speaking up is dangerous, that standing firm is risky, or that protecting ourselves is more important than protecting what is right. These thoughts are normal, and they do not make us weak. What defines us is how we respond to them. The Stoics believe that we have control over our own choices, Even when we cannot control external events, our responsibility is to act with wisdom and integrity, to make decisions aligned with virtue. When fear arises, it is a signal, not a command. It signals that something matters deeply, that an opportunity for moral action is present. Choosing to act courageously in these moments strengthens our character and builds a foundation of unshakable inner strength. Courage is also about consistency, about making the right choice not only once but repeatedly, even when it is uncomfortable. Life presents countless moments in which we are tested, often in small ways before larger challenges come. Speaking the truth when it is easier to lie, defending someone who is being treated unfairly, standing by your principles when others ignore them. These are acts of courage that may seem ordinary, but they shape our character profoundly. Over time, practicing courage in small moments prepares us for greater challenges, creating a resilience that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Stoic wisdom emphasizes that moral excellence is built step by step, through daily practice, not sudden heroic feats. Another important aspect of courage is clarity. The Stoics taught that we must act according to reason, guided by what is virtuous and just, rather than by impulses or emotions alone. Fear can cloud judgment, causing hesitation or rash decisions. Courage requires calm, deliberate action, even when the heart pounds and the mind worries. It is not reckless, it is measured and purposeful. By cultivating awareness and self-discipline, we learn to distinguish between fear that signals danger and fear that is a test of character. In situations where fear challenges us, courage is the bridge between knowing what is right and doing what is right. Furthermore, courage inspires others. When we act rightly despite fear, we set an example for those around us. People notice when someone stands firm, speaks honestly, or defends what is just, even at personal risk. Courage is contagious. It encourages others to act with integrity, to face their own fears and to uphold virtue. This is why Stoic philosophy places such importance on personal responsibility. Our choices ripple outward, influencing the world beyond ourselves. Every act of courage, no matter how small, contributes to a life of purpose and meaning, and strengthens the moral fabric of the communities we are part of. Your voice matters. Speak up when truth is at stake. Too often, people underestimate the power of their own words. They think that one person cannot make a difference, that speaking out is useless, or that silence is safer. But every voice has influence. Every word has the potential to change a situation, to challenge injustice, or to inspire someone else to act. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our actions, including our words, are within our control, and it is our duty to act with reason and virtue. Choosing to remain silent when truth is at stake is not a neutral act. It allows falsehood, harm, and injustice to continue unchecked. By speaking up, we honor our values and contribute to a world where fairness, honesty, and integrity can thrive. Many people hesitate to speak up because they fear judgment, rejection, or conflict. They worry that others will not listen, or that they will face criticism. These fears are natural, but they should not stop us from acting rightly. Stoicism reminds us that the only things fully within our control are our own thoughts, choices, and actions. We cannot control how others respond, but we can control whether we act in alignment with reason and virtue. When we speak the truth, even in the face of potential backlash, we are exercising moral courage. Our words become tools of integrity, shaping the environment around us and reinforcing the principles we hold dear. Speaking up requires clarity and purpose. It is not about arguing for the sake of argument, boasting, or proving oneself right. True courage in speech comes from understanding what is right and choosing to communicate it with calmness and reason. The Stoics valued wisdom and rationality, and they believed that effective action is guided by careful thought. When truth is at stake, words should be precise, honest, and constructive. They should seek to restore justice, illuminate misunderstanding, or protect those who cannot protect themselves. Speaking up is an act of responsibility, a demonstration that we are aware of the situation and willing to act according to our principles, rather than remain passive observers. When we choose to speak up, we also empower others. Silence can allow fear or apathy to spread, but words have the power to awaken courage in those around us. A single voice can break a pattern of passivity, inspire action, and create momentum for change. This is why Stoicism emphasizes personal responsibility, not as a burden, but as an opportunity to contribute to the greater good. Each time we act rightly, we strengthen not only ourselves but also the moral fabric of our communities. Courageous speech becomes a ripple that encourages others to act with integrity and reason, creating a collective strength that can confront even difficult challenges. Furthermore, speaking up shapes our own character. Avoiding truth in order to remain comfortable or avoid conflict may feel safe temporarily, but it erodes self-respect and diminishes our inner strength. Courage grows through practice, and every time we choose to act rightly with our words, we reinforce our sense of purpose and moral clarity. Our voice becomes an instrument of virtue, reflecting our values in the world and reminding us that integrity is more important than temporary comfort. Stoicism teaches that living well is measured by virtue and reason, not by external rewards or approval. Using our voice to uphold truth is a practical and necessary application of this philosophy. Stoics believe virtue guides action, not comfort. In our daily lives, it is easy to choose what feels safe, easy, or pleasant. We naturally gravitate toward comfort, avoiding challenges, confrontation, or discomfort whenever possible. Yet, Stoicism teaches that living according to virtue requires putting principles above convenience. Virtue is about doing what is right, acting with integrity, and making choices guided by reason and moral clarity. Comfort, while tempting, cannot be the measure of our decisions. Choosing comfort over virtue may protect us in the short term, but it erodes character, diminishes courage, and weakens our ability to live a meaningful life. Many people believe that being virtuous is simple when life is easy. They think that doing the right thing is effortless when there are no risks or challenges. But true virtue is revealed in difficult moments, when doing what is right comes with fear, resistance, or sacrifice. Stoics remind us that our duty is not to seek comfort but to act according to reason and integrity. Even when it is hard, life is full of situations where comfort tempts us to ignore injustice, avoid responsibility, or stay silent when truth needs to be spoken. It is in these moments that our character is tested and our virtue is demonstrated. Virtue requires courage, discipline, and awareness. It is not about doing what is popular, convenient, or immediately rewarding. It is about acting rightly, according to reason and moral principles, regardless of external pressures. When faced with injustice, cruelty, or wrongdoing, the easy choice is often silence or avoidance. The comfortable path is to remain passive, to protect ourselves, and to pretend that the situation does not concern us. Stoicism teaches that virtue calls for a different approach. It calls us to act with integrity, to speak truthfully, and to support justice, even when doing so disrupts comfort or challenges the status quo. Choosing virtue over comfort also strengthens our inner freedom. When we prioritize convenience or fear over what is right, we allow external circumstances to control us. We become dependent on approval, avoidance of conflict, or ease of life. But when virtue guides our actions, we act according to our own reason, independent of external pressures. This internal freedom is at the heart of Stoic philosophy. By acting virtuously, we develop resilience, self-respect, and confidence. We learn that our well-being is not determined by external comfort, but by the quality of our choices and the integrity of our actions. Additionally, living by virtue inspires those around us. When people see someone prioritize principle over comfort, it sets an example. It shows that moral courage is possible, that truth and justice matter, and that ethical action is a responsibility we all share. Stoicism emphasizes personal responsibility, but it also recognizes the impact of individual actions on the collective environment. When virtue guides action, it creates a ripple effect, encouraging others to act with integrity and to resist the temptation of convenience or ease. In everyday life, this principle can be applied in countless ways. It can mean speaking up when someone is treated unfairly at work or in social settings. It can mean refusing to participate in gossip or dishonesty. It can mean taking responsibility for mistakes rather than deflecting blame. Each choice to act virtuously, even when it is uncomfortable, builds moral strength. Over time, living guided by virtue rather than comfort shapes our character, strengthens our resolve, and enables us to face challenges with clarity, wisdom, and courage. Fear is natural, but it should not stop righteous action. Every human being experiences fear at some point in life: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of loss, and even fear of the unknown can influence our decisions and hold us back from doing what is right. Many people believe that feeling fear is a weakness, something to be ashamed of, but Stoic philosophy teaches us that fear is simply a signal, not a command. It tells us that something matters, that an opportunity to act with courage and virtue is present. The presence of fear does not mean we should avoid action. It means we must choose to act rightly despite it. Fear often convinces us to remain silent when speaking up is necessary, to stay passive when action is required, or to take the easier path rather than the right one. It whispers that comfort, safety, or avoiding conflict is more important than integrity. These thoughts can be strong and persistent, but Stoicism reminds us that our power lies in our response. We cannot control the external world, but we can control our choices, our actions, and our mindset. Acting rightly despite fear strengthens our character and develops inner resilience. Each moment we face fear and choose virtue over avoidance, we build moral courage that becomes unshakable over time. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the deliberate choice to act despite it. Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius teach that our purpose is to live according to reason and virtue. When fear arises, it is not a signal to retreat, it is a test of our commitment to living rightly. Fear challenges us to be deliberate, to act consciously, and to focus on what we can control. By acknowledging fear and taking action anyway, we train ourselves to respond to challenges with strength rather than avoidance. Over time, this repeated practice transforms fear from a paralyzing force into a motivator for courage and moral clarity. Fear can also distort our perception of risk, making dangers appear greater than they really are. Stoicism encourages us to examine fear rationally, to separate imagined threats from real ones. Not every fear requires immediate action or confrontation, but fear that stands between us and doing what is right demands attention. Ignoring it or pretending it does not exist does not eliminate it. Facing it, understanding it, and acting virtuously despite it is the path to developing unshakable courage. Fear, when managed properly, becomes a teacher rather than an obstacle. Another important aspect of fear is how it affects others. When we allow fear to prevent righteous action, we not only limit ourselves, but we also enable harm or injustice to continue. Silence, inaction, or avoidance in the presence of fear can have consequences for others, whether it is standing by while someone is treated unfairly or failing to speak truth in critical moments. Courage in the face of fear protects not just our own integrity, but also the well-being of those around us. Stoicism teaches that our responsibility extends beyond ourselves. Our actions, or lack of action, influence the world. Finally, facing fear builds confidence and moral strength. Each time we act rightly despite fear, we prove to ourselves that courage is possible, that our values are stronger than our anxiety, and that integrity matters more than temporary comfort. This repeated practice transforms our relationship with fear, making us resilient, grounded, and capable of acting decisively in difficult situations. By embracing fear as a natural part of life and refusing to let it dictate our actions, we align with Stoic principles and cultivate unshakable inner courage. Small acts of courage strengthen your character over time. Many people believe that courage is only shown in grand gestures or extraordinary moments, like facing a life-threatening danger or making a bold public stand. But Stoicism teaches that true courage is often found in the small, everyday choices we make. Each time we choose to act rightly, even in minor ways, we are training our character, building resilience, and strengthening our ability to face greater challenges. Courage grows gradually like a muscle and requires consistent practice. It is in these repeated, seemingly ordinary acts that moral strength is developed and refined. Every day presents opportunities to act with courage, though we may not always recognize them at first. It could be as simple as speaking up when someone is being treated unfairly, telling the truth when a lie seems easier, defending someone who cannot defend themselves, or taking responsibility for our own mistakes. These small decisions may seem insignificant at the moment, but they accumulate over time to create a foundation of unshakable character. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that virtue is built through consistent action, not by occasional heroism. Acting courageously in small matters prepares us to act courageously when larger challenges arise. Another important point is that small acts of courage build confidence. When we act rightly in situations that feel uncomfortable or difficult, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of facing fear and uncertainty. Each choice reinforces the idea that our values matter more than temporary comfort or convenience. Over time, this repeated practice strengthens our moral compass and gives us the inner assurance that we can rely on our own judgment and integrity. Courage becomes a habit, a natural part of our character, rather than a rare response to extraordinary circumstances. Small acts of courage also influence others. When people witness even minor instances of moral courage, it inspires them to act with integrity as well. Courage is contagious. A simple act of honesty, fairness, or standing up for someone else can ripple outward, encouraging others to face their own fears and act rightly. Stoicism recognizes that our actions, even small ones, have consequences beyond ourselves. By consistently choosing to act courageously, we contribute to a culture of integrity and virtue, setting an example for others to follow. It is also important to understand that small acts of courage often involve resisting internal pressures, not just external ones. Fear, laziness, doubt, and desire for comfort can all influence our choices. Stoics teach that true courage is acting according to reason and virtue, even when the mind wants to avoid effort or difficulty. Each small decision to resist these internal pressures strengthens our self-discipline and moral resolve. Over time, this inner strength becomes unshakable, allowing us to act rightly in even the most challenging circumstances. Finally, small acts of courage remind us that living virtuously is an ongoing practice. It is not a destination or a single achievement, but a continuous effort to align our actions with reason, integrity, and moral principles. Each choice, no matter how minor it may seem, is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Stoicism teaches that the cumulative effect of these decisions shapes our character, defines our life, and equips us to face the world with clarity, confidence, and unshakable courage. Injustice persists when good people remain silent. This is one of the hardest truths to accept in life, but it is a truth that Stoicism makes very clear. Many people convince themselves that their silence is harmless, that one voice cannot change anything, or that it is better to stay out of conflict. They think that avoiding action will protect them from trouble or discomfort. However, silence in the face of wrongdoing does not prevent harm, it allows it to continue unchecked. Injustice does not thrive because of evil alone, it thrives because those who could act choose not to. Stoic philosophy teaches that moral responsibility is not optional, and that virtue demands action even when it is difficult or uncomfortable. When we remain silent in the presence of injustice, we unintentionally become participants in it. By not speaking up or taking action, we allow wrong behavior to continue without challenge. This can happen in small, everyday ways, such as witnessing dishonesty, unfair treatment, or gossip, and choosing not to intervene. It can also happen on larger scales, like ignoring systemic problems, social injustice, or the suffering of others. In each case, silence communicates acceptance, whether intentional or not. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control everything that happens in the world, but we can control our own actions and decisions. Choosing inaction when action is needed is a failure to live according to reason and virtue. Fear and comfort are often the reasons why good people stay silent. Speaking up can be uncomfortable, risky, or unpopular. Many of us worry about being judged, rejected, or facing conflict. We convince ourselves that it is safer to remain quiet and protect ourselves from consequences. Stoicism, however, teaches that the welfare of our character is more important than temporary comfort. Acting rightly, even in the face of fear or social pressure, strengthens our moral compass and builds inner resilience. Courage is developed when we choose virtue over convenience, and silence over injustice is a choice that diminishes both courage and integrity. Remaining silent also affects the broader community. When people witness injustice and choose not to act, they set a precedent for others to do the same. This perpetuates a culture of passivity and fear. On the other hand, when someone speaks out, even in small ways, it can inspire others to take action as well. One voice can break a cycle of silence and encourage others to act with courage and integrity. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that our actions, however small, have consequences that extend beyond ourselves. By refusing to remain silent, we not only uphold our own virtue but also contribute to the greater good. It is also important to understand that speaking up does not always require confrontation or aggression. The Stoics valued reason, clarity, and calm action. We can challenge injustice through thoughtful words, constructive intervention, and principled behavior. Silence often represents fear or avoidance, but measured action demonstrates strength, wisdom, and moral courage. Each time we resist the temptation to remain silent, we reinforce our commitment to living virtuously and acting with integrity. Finally, understanding the impact of silence helps us recognize our moral responsibility. Stoicism teaches that we are judged not only by our actions, but also by our choices to act or not act. Injustice persists when good people remain silent because silence empowers harm. Acting, even in small ways, strengthens our character, nurtures courage, and contributes to a life guided by reason and virtue. By choosing not to remain silent, we uphold truth, justice, and the values that define our moral integrity. Integrity requires action, not just intention. Many people believe that having good intentions is enough to make them virtuous. They think that feeling moral, wanting to do the right thing, or thinking about what is fair is sufficient. But Stoic philosophy teaches that virtue is measured by action, not thoughts alone. Integrity is not simply an internal feeling or a private belief, it is reflected in what we do, how we respond to challenges, and whether our actions align with our values. Without action, intention remains incomplete, and morality becomes theoretical rather than practical. Having intentions is important because it guides our decision making and shapes our mindset. However, If intentions do not lead to action, they lose their power. Life constantly tests us with situations that require choices, and the measure of our character is revealed in how we respond. When we witness wrongdoing, injustice, or harm, thinking that we should act is not enough. Stoicism emphasizes that our duty is to act according to reason and virtue. Integrity demands that we translate our moral awareness into concrete steps, even when it is uncomfortable, difficult, or risky. Fear, convenience, and social pressure often prevent people from acting with integrity. We may want to do the right thing, but fear of judgment, loss, or conflict can make us hesitate. We may rationalize inaction by telling ourselves that someone else will handle the situation, or that it is not our responsibility. Stoicism teaches that these excuses weaken our character. Courage is required to transform intention into action, and moral discipline is necessary to resist the temptations of fear, laziness, and avoidance. By choosing to act, even in small ways, we reinforce our integrity and develop unshakable inner strength. Integrity is also about consistency. Acting rightly only sometimes or only when convenient does not build a strong character. True integrity requires that our actions match our values across all situations, whether public or private, large or small. Stoic philosophy emphasizes living in accordance with reason and virtue in every aspect of life. By consistently choosing action over inaction, we demonstrate reliability, moral courage, and authenticity. Our character is strengthened not by occasional heroics but by repeated, deliberate decisions to act with integrity. Action guided by integrity also inspires and influences others. People notice when someone consistently chooses to do what is right, even in the face of difficulty. This sets an example, encouraging others to act with courage and moral clarity. Stoicism recognizes that our personal choices have broader consequences, shaping the environment around us and influencing the moral behavior of those we interact with. By acting with integrity, we contribute to a culture of virtue, truth, and fairness. Furthermore, action grounded in integrity protects our inner self. Thoughts and intentions alone cannot prevent guilt, regret, or self-doubt when we fail to act. Stoicism teaches that moral responsibility is ours, and that avoiding action can weaken our sense of purpose and moral clarity. By translating intention into deliberate action, we align ourselves with virtue, strengthen our self-respect, and cultivate resilience in the face of challenges. Integrity becomes a living principle, shaping our decisions and guiding us in every circumstance. Finally, integrity requires courage because acting rightly is not always easy. Life presents situations where choosing what is right may bring discomfort, criticism, or loss. Stoicism reminds us that moral courage is necessary to uphold our values and turn intentions into action. By consistently acting with integrity, we strengthen our character, maintain our principles, and live a life aligned with reason and virtue. Speaking truth builds unshakable inner strength. Many people underestimate the power of honesty and the impact it has on their character. Speaking the truth is not always easy. It can be uncomfortable, risky, or unpopular. Yet, Stoic philosophy teaches that truthfulness is one of the cornerstones of virtue. When we speak honestly, we align our actions with reason and integrity, and we strengthen our moral foundation. Each time we choose to speak the truth, even in small matters, we practice courage and build resilience that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Fear often prevents people from speaking the truth. Fear of judgment, rejection, conflict, or loss can make silence seem safer than honesty. Many convince themselves that avoiding the truth will protect them, that telling a lie or withholding information is easier. Stoicism, however, emphasizes that our responsibility is to act according to reason and virtue, not to chase comfort or avoid difficulty. Courage is developed through repeated choices to act rightly, even when fear is present, and speaking truthfully is one of the most consistent ways to cultivate this courage. Inner strength grows gradually through repeated acts of truthfulness. Every time we speak honestly, we reinforce our self-respect, moral clarity, and confidence. Small acts of honesty accumulate over time to create a solid foundation of integrity that allows us to face larger challenges with calm and assurance. Just as physical strength is built by repeated exercise, inner strength is built by consistently choosing virtue in our words and actions. Speaking the truth becomes not just a habit, but a reflection of who we are and the values we uphold. Speaking truth also shapes how others perceive and respond to us. When people see someone consistently act with honesty, they develop trust and respect for that person. Stoicism teaches that our actions have consequences beyond ourselves. Speaking truthfully does not only strengthen our own character, it also positively influences the environment around us. By modeling honesty and integrity, we encourage others to act with the same values, creating a ripple effect of moral courage and ethical behavior in our communities. It is important to note that speaking truth does not require aggression, harshness, or confrontation. The Stoics valued reason, calmness, and clarity. Honesty should be guided by purpose, aiming to clarify, correct, or protect rather than to hurt or attack. Even difficult truths can be communicated thoughtfully and effectively. This balance between courage and wisdom ensures that speaking truth strengthens both our inner self and our relationships with others. Silence, in contrast, may avoid conflict temporarily, but it undermines character and allows falsehood or injustice to persist. Another aspect of speaking truth is its role in self-discipline. Avoiding dishonesty and choosing honesty requires awareness, reflection, and intentionality. It is easy to rationalize lies, exaggerations, or omissions to protect ourselves or gain comfort, but Stoicism teaches that our inner freedom depends on acting in alignment with virtue. Each truthful word strengthens our ability to act rightly, resist temptation, and maintain moral clarity. Inner strength is built not just by resisting external challenges but also by overcoming internal impulses that would lead us away from virtue. Finally, speaking truth consistently creates a life of integrity, resilience, and confidence. When our words reflect our values, we experience harmony between our inner self and our actions. Stoicism emphasizes that living according to reason and virtue is the highest good, and speaking truth is a vital expression of that principle. Through repeated acts of honesty, we cultivate unshakable inner strength that allows us to face life's difficulties with courage, clarity, and moral certainty. Life is measured by what good we choose to do, not by what we avoid. Many people spend their days trying to avoid discomfort, conflict, or challenges. They believe that a life of ease and safety is a life well lived. But Stoic philosophy teaches that true meaning and fulfillment are found not in avoidance, but in the choices we make to act rightly, to uphold virtue, and to contribute positively to the world. Life gains value through deliberate, moral action, not through the absence of risk or difficulty. Choosing what is good over what is easy defines our character and shapes the impact we have on others and ourselves. Avoidance often comes from fear or laziness. People may shy away from responsibility, difficult conversations, or opportunities to help others because they want to remain comfortable or free from stress. Silence, inaction, or passivity may feel safe, but they erode moral courage and diminish personal growth. Stoicism emphasizes that we are judged not only by what we do, but also by what we fail to do when action is required. Life is measured in choices, and choosing avoidance over action means missing the chance to live in alignment with reason and virtue. True fulfillment comes from confronting challenges with integrity and courage. Every choice to act rightly, no matter how small, contributes to the life we build. Speaking the truth, defending someone who is treated unfairly, taking responsibility for mistakes, or helping someone in need are all actions that create meaning and build character. Stoicism teaches that virtue is developed through consistent practice, and each deliberate act of goodness strengthens our inner self. Life is not measured by the absence of difficulties, but by the deliberate pursuit of what is just, honest, and virtuous. The accumulation of these choices forms a foundation of moral strength, resilience, and purpose that cannot be taken away by external circumstances. Choosing the good over avoidance also shapes our mindset and perspective. When we face challenges with courage and act in alignment with our principles, we develop confidence in our ability to navigate life. Avoiding difficulties may provide temporary comfort, but it leaves us unprepared for the inevitable trials and hardships that life presents. By consistently choosing right action, we build inner resources that allow us to remain calm, clear-minded, and resolute when adversity arises. Stoicism teaches that the development of character, rather than the avoidance of discomfort, is the true measure of a life well lived. Life is interconnected, and the good we choose to do often affects others. Acts of kindness, courage, honesty, and justice ripple outward, inspiring and supporting those around us. Stoics understood that our personal virtue is not just for ourselves but also contributes to the common good. Choosing what is good over avoidance creates positive influence, encourages ethical behavior in others, and strengthens the moral fabric of our communities. Life gains meaning through these actions, because the impact of virtue extends beyond the individual and shapes the world in visible and invisible ways. Finally, the Stoic approach reminds us that external circumstances, fame, wealth, comfort, or recognition do not determine the value of our lives. Life is measured by our choices to act rightly, to pursue virtue, and to do good whenever possible. Avoidance may feel safe, but it is action guided by integrity that builds character, moral strength, and true fulfillment. Each decision to choose what is good, rather than what is easy or convenient, reinforces our resilience, sharpens our judgment, and shapes a life aligned with reason, courage, and virtue.